From the shadows of the National Palace
to the muddy trenches of politics. This is the pigsty, the pigpen of Concamarano politics.
Greetings, inhabitants of this infested dump. This is the pigsty, the pigpen of politics. Welcome back to the only corner where the truth isn't washed. Because let's be honest, the dirt is what gives flavor to national politics. And where the filth is served hot and with a silver spoon. I'm your host, the always venomous Luis Berman, and today the menu comes with the smell of gunpowder, of betrayal, and those logistical errors that, coincidentally, always benefit those in power. This is a feast that leaves you with indigestion. The chronicle of how a crystal empire shattered among pine trees, dialysis, and of course the inevitable feminine touch that's never missing in a good Greek or Mexican tragedy. Also, this episode mixes in crocodile tears. Grab your seat, because what I'm about to tell you about Mencho's downfall has more holes than a Mexico City drain. Was he gunned down, executed, or simply silenced so he wouldn't spill the beans in a United States court? Let's get into the mud. Stop everything. Bring out the questionable tequila and the paper napkins because the party is over. It turns out that, as everyone already knows, last February 22nd, while you, dear resident of this pigsty called Mexico, were probably looking for something to eat to cure your hangover, in Tapalpa, Jalisco, a stew was being cooked that not even the best diner in the region could surpass. We're talking about the fall of the untouchable, the man who had more myths than realities. Nemesio Ceguera, El Mencho. But don't get too excited. This wasn't a James Bond movie with Hollywood special effects. It was more like a mix between an episode of La Rosa de Guadalupe and a movie by the Almada brothers. Who said being the world's most wanted criminal leader takes away your desire for good medical care? Little or nothing has been said about how our protagonist, suffering from chronic kidney failure, was more tied to a machine than a politician to his seat. And he decided that the Sierra Madre Occidental was the ideal place to build his own private health center. That's right. While you wait in line for 3 days at the Instituto Mexicano del Seguro Social just to get expired acetaminophen, this man had cutting-edge dialysis technology in the middle of nowhere. But of course, arrogance is a treacherous beast. That little hospital was the beacon that guided Mexican intelligence and the Americans with their satellite surveillance, straight to his luxury cabin. Because yes, to catch a big fish, sometimes all you need to do is follow the trail of his medical tubes. But aside from the small health detail, we have another factor that played an important role in this story. Here comes the juice, what we like in this pigsty, the key piece. Guadalupe Moreno, the Mata Hari of the mountains, or the miscalculation. Forget about the latest generation drones and the commandos trained in outer space. The final blow had a woman's name, Guadalupe Moreno Carrillo. This lady, who according to the Guacamaya leaks files, those that remind us in this country, everything is known, but nothing is done until it's convenient. She was the leader's shadow since he separated from his official wife, the famous Rosalinda, who was imprisoned and then released last year. Guadalupe, about 50 years old, fair-skinned and with black hair, a description that fits half the ladies who go to the market on Sundays. She was the trusted contact who committed the cardinal sin of the modern era, moving around. Intelligence detected that someone close to her was heading to Tapalpa on February 20th. And boom, just like that, like a food delivery order gone wrong, the special forces raided the cabin in the woods. The outcome was worthy of a crime headline, like those sold at traffic lights. A high-intensity ground operation, a shootout that surely left the pines of Tapalpa full of holes, and Mencho mortally wounded. Not modern, that what was the sin? Modern, that Comanera is fine. Isn't it going to be lively? Perla's the right one, but Quintla Cammon changes only in national sports, but let's see, wait. Let's not be sold pineapples in syrup. It turns out that's the official version from Sunday, February 22nd. Leia Imperio Estado. You know which ones? The ones who repeat the script like lapdogs tried to force it on us. The one that says that Nemesio Oseguera was killed in the Tapalpa operation. But since here at La Pasilga we don't even swallow tap water, we started investigating. The first fishy thing is the lack of bragging. Normally, when the state catches a big fish, the first thing they do is leak everything to us, even the color of their socks. Do you remember El Chapo? They turned his head in front of the cameras so everyone could see his face like, "I'm done for a video." They put him at the foot of the helicopter as if he were a model on a criminal runway. And about Mencho? Nothing. Not even a blurry photo. Not a single leaked video from a soldier looking for fame on TikTok. Just a certificate from Ernestina Godoy, whose credibility is as solid as a jelly under the sun. Here's where it gets good, the new version, because you know in this government the stories change more often than underwear. So, was he taken alive? Yes, gentlemen. They had wounded him and put him on a helicopter, but, surprise, he died on the way. And not just him, his 2 bodyguards also died. What a coincidence. 3 out of 3 died from their wounds just before arriving in Mexico City. You know what's most suspicious? That, according to military sources cited by journalist Joan Grillo, Mencho was safe and sound when they captured him. Someone, somewhere with air conditioning, gave the order. This one can't reach the prosecutor's office alive. Because, just imagine, after being extradited, El Mencho sitting in front of a United States judge, telling who sold him the criminal franchises, who let him expand during the last 6-year term, who, in Tabasco, the land of Eden, gave him shelter through groups like La Barradora. At Monday's morning press conference, things got really tense. Faced with questions from the press, chaos broke out. And what did General Trevilla do? Faced with uncomfortable questions, he started crying. Can you believe it? Instead of handing over investigation files, forensic reports, and giving a convincing explanation, not the tall tale he told, about why they broke the chain of custody by moving the body from one aircraft to another, he got sentimental? Bring out the camouflage tissues. Turns out we saw something I wouldn't have imagined even in my wildest drunken nights. The head of the armed forces came out to offer condolences to the families of the soldiers who fell during the operation, on the verge of tears. But be careful, here in the pigsty, we aren't moved by olive green uniforms wrapped in tears. According to the official figures from the Batman of Tianguis, Omar Garcia Jarfuch, the Jalisco New Generation cartel had an almost absolute success in their surprise attacks. There were 27 attacks, and they killed 25 members of the National Guard. Almost all of the attacks were effective. And why did so many die? Well, because everything indicates that they were used as cannon fodder. According to some unofficial sources, they say that no one told them about the operation. In Palpa, 50 of them were at their guard posts greeting the hitmen, with whom they had a pact. You don't shoot at me, I don't shoot at you. When suddenly, the usual ones opened fire on them without saying a word. The foot soldiers, the ones who earned 25,000 pesos a month, paid with their lives for the breaking of a pact they never even signed. The question is, why such a rush to capture Mencho now? Well, because they were in deep trouble. They had the scandal of the fights between party members, like Julio Scherer against Bañagatos, Jesus Ramirez Cuevas, or Mono Real against Chalk's mom in light of censorships, and then the sugar daddy thing. Adán Augusto López leaves the Senate to get away from the spotlight and avoid his responsibility for the mess. And more recently, the leaked audio to Carmen Aristegui about the tax fuel theft and the execution of the rear admiral who exposed the business, among many other scandals. They needed to cool things down. The President of the Republic, Ángel López Obrador, has become a man who wanted his trophy alive. The Americans used satellite intelligence and tracked the dialysis medical equipment that Mencho needed. They did their homework, and Mexico, true to its style of, I have other data, handed over a corpse. The Americans wanted to interrogate him, not bury someone. They got ahead of them and applied the aerial escape law, so that the secrets would stay at the bottom of a coffin. But we'll have to see how long these bastard Morena members enjoy the little oxygen they're breathing now. Because the insistence of Mr. Orange to have them hand over narco-politicians is still on, and the pressure is constant. The welfare maid must think that with this little medal she's going to get away with it. And maybe the blonde guy will forget that the ones she has to hand over wear maroon vests. But Trump is surely waiting for the right moment to strike again. He's kept her on a short leash, and the bread ran out a while ago. So, chachis, enjoy your puff, and let's not lose sight, my friends, that Fédération Internationale de Football Association is evaluating the situation in the country for the next World Cup. So this is still going to get better or worse, depending on how you look at it. So let's start wrapping things up and move on to the conclusion of this humble mess. It was brilliant intelligence. It was American technology. It was a patriotic and heroic act by the Mexican government. It wasn't me, it was TT. Or was it simply that a powerful man fell due to the carelessness or betrayal of his partner, and faced with the need not to die from a uremic coma before dying from a bullet, killed in combat or executed in silence? The reality is that Mencho's death benefits many narco-politicians who now sleep more peacefully, starting with the Macuspano donkey. Meanwhile, we're left with a country set on fire by the cartel's reaction, and with authorities who cry instead of informing. In the end, the fall of the empire wasn't because of a great strategist, but because of human error. The kind that remind us that no matter how many hills they command or how many weapons they carry, in the end, they're all just human. And humans in this pigsty always mess things up. That's why I'm a pig. The general shed tears, but we just want to hide our faces in shame. While the foot soldiers die, those at the top cry on national television. I hope this story has helped you understand that in Mexico, we're always given a version that's forced to fit and doesn't sound so bad to the public. Well, my pigs, I'm leaving before I get splashed with more mud than I can handle. This was the pigsty, the pig pen of politics. I'm Louis Berman, and remember, in this pigsty, if you don't fall, you fly. But sometimes that flight just means you're headed to the afterlife. Cries. Is it because the onion of power is spicier than usual? See you on Thursday. Goodbye. This is the pigsty, the pig pen of politics with Camerano, the pigsty.